Hello, everyone. Uh, Today we are at this session of the Book Bakers Authors Conversation, and I'm Nilutpal Gohain, the author of the book The Legend of Lachit Borphukan, and with me joining today is Anirudh Singh, the author of the book The Alternate Historical Fiction, Operation Dyer. Okay. Let me just introduce you to Anirudh. Anirudh is a script writer and a screenplay writer. He has written a few series and he has written dialogues for TV. And this is his debut novel. He has just moved to novel writing, and this is his debut novel, Operation Dyer. And it's a novel set on a real backdrop with some fictional and real characters. Basically, alternative historical fiction, which is one of my favorite genres. So, welcome Anirudh to the conversation. And
thank you. That was a very good, very nice introduction. So I got into script writing and dialogues, short filmmaking, shooting promos and all. So somehow this topic struck me, and I thought, this can't be written into a short story or a script or anything like that. It has to be a big ass novel.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let's start with the questionnaire, I think. So, could you give us a brief background about your book?
No. Well,
I've already started reading your book, and it's amazing. It's brilliant. So, yeah, because I've just written that same genre, and reading your book is something, at some point it feels that how what you must have been going through in your mind writing those things. So it's an awesome read so far, let me tell you. So
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Anirudh. Let me show it to the people out there who are watching this video. This is the book, The Legend of Lachit Borphukan. This is also the debut book, my debut book. And the book is basically, as I've mentioned before, the book is basically on one of the legendary characters in Ahom history, Lachit Borphukan. Lachit Borphukan was the commander of the Ahom army who defeated the Mughals when they tried to annex Guwahati. Guwahati is like the eastern frontier of the Ahom kingdom in those days. So they tried to annex Guwahati, and Guwahati was like the power seat of the Ahom kingdom. So they annexed it for a very brief point of time. Then Lachit led the army and recaptured it and held it till the Ahoms, attacked 3-4 times, but they couldn't capture it again. And till that time, Lachit held his position, and finally he defeated the Mughals and got back Guwahati for the Ahom. So this book chronicles his life history from his birth till his death, and along his life history, the contemporary, times and the stories. The events that led to the battle, the final battle, which is called the Battle of Saraigat, the events that led to that battle, that is chronicled in the book. And as you said that you have liked the book till now, so yeah. I think I've done a good job with this, and hopefully by the end of it, I'll be expecting you to give me a complete review of how the book is.
For sure. It will be a privilege.
Why don't you tell us about your book? Your book also seems very interesting. Recently that movie came, the Udham Singh.
Yeah.
So
actually,
this book has got the interest of the people right now. So please go ahead.
Luckily, the timings all matched. I don't know how, by God's grace. So we got a little, all hyped audience for that. It was, I think, lucky shot we got. Uh, Basically, everyone knows about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So the things happened. Everyone knows is watching the Sardar. So what I felt was that what happened was not satisfying. It wasn't end of that story was not, it's not, it didn't give me that pleasure. That was there was still that uneasiness left in my heart whenever I used to say this incident. And during the time when I was an assistant writer, I was going through this screenplay of the movie Gandhi, and I was going through the same movie. I was really brimming at the point of action that when I came this scene with the beauty that that scene was written, I just burst out. I have to write something. I have to write my own version of history. I can't live with this. So I formulated a story. I made characters, and I also researched a lot because it was a true. So I had to be authentic. Couldn't take a full liberty, complete liberty of making things, stating things or characters. I had to have a clearer perspective of things, the situation, the scenarios at that time. So I did my all research and all, and finally, after I think 4 years, 4 years something, some months, I finally completed the book. And luckily, so had you also gone so had. And also I think we both have the same publisher also.
Yeah.
So we got Locksley. I think they are interested in fiction and social fiction. So we same publisher, and everything is in front of the people right now.
Yeah.
So that's it became.
Well, I wanted to ask you one thing, and you have already answered it. I wanted to ask you why you chose to, chose that character, chose to write about this alternate history thing. So you've already said it was brimming, and I can totally get that.
Exactly.
This similar thing happened to me as well when I wrote this book. I was traveling for official purpose to one of the places. And then while going, on the way, I saw a board which said Lachit Gor English Medium School. So Lachit is obviously Lachit Borphukan. Gor in Assamese is like a rampart. It's a raised portion of land. So I stopped there and checked where is the raised portion of land. There is no, there's no significance in that area where the Lachit Gor, this thing is there. So I thought why we didn't preserve history as it was. So it got me thinking, because in Assam is like Assam is a floodplain. So every year flood occurs here, and the monuments and all those architectural these things they get destroyed every year. So if people preserve it, it stays. But probably in those days people might have not thought about the historical significance of those things. So I thought of preserving that history in the form of a book, and I wanted to write it in an interesting way so that people know about the Assam history and they get to get entertainment and the feeling of reading a good book. So that's why I wanted to document this. And I would like to ask you one more thing, Anirudh. What kind of research did you do while writing this book?
Of course, nowadays there's internet. But the thing is, the problem is with the internet is that you have too much of information. So your work becomes to run and filter the actual informations and all those things. So you have to filter out all the rubbish and all the nonsense. So what my source was, I reached out to people who knew authors, had books during of that. So that really helped me. Mm-hmm. And I think which I think I mentioned in my book also, that Nilutpal books Basically, he has 5 volumes of books, and that explores pre-British India in a very beautiful way, in a very elaborate and very. So I had wanted to introduce the people, the readers, about the pre-British India, the how rich we were culturally, financially, economically. I wanted to give that glimpses of pre-British India to the readers. So I researched Dharamtal books, and they are massive. I could only go through 2 volumes for you know for the matter I wanted to in my book to include in my book. So it was a huge treasure of information. So I, I went through that, and again I went to Siddhar Singh, Bharat Bhi Azadi. It was a
Yeah.
Punjabi book.
Mhm.
It was a complete Punjabi. So I had a friend of a friend who knew the Punjabi script, and so he translated a few parts and bits of it, which I needed to include in my book. So I got that done. And apart from that, because the unique thing of this book is that it has 2 point of views. It has the point of view of the antagonist and of the protagonist. So the antagonist is obviously General Dyer. So I want to understand his point of view as well. I want not just point of view. I wanted to get into his psyche, his. So at that point of time, I was going through some stuff through books which I could find, but I was unable to find anything on General Dyer, like which could directly give me some link to him. So I had another friend who who was in UK at that time, and she found a book about General Dyer's his biography. I think Ian Duncan. So I've mentioned that in my book, and that was a treasure for me because from his early young days till his death, it comprises of all that information, and that was a treasure for me to understand what his psyche was, what his nature was towards the Indian population. So that helped me immensely to get both those perspectives together in a book. So that helped a lot. So that was a great help.
Oh, it's good to know, and the kind of information you're giving me. I'm waiting for your book to arrive. I've ordered a few days back. It will arrive soon. I'm waiting for it.
I hope you enjoy.
Definitely, I will. Alternative history is one of my favorite things. I loved alternative history movies also, and definitely books. I love it. So
I think we have that we have to make it a little entertaining for today's readers, because I think today's tend to lose that interest a little quickly. Maintain that pace of interest. I think we have add a little spice to it.
Definitely. And for me, research, I didn't rely much on the internet because you're not sure if the information over internet is authentic or not, right? So one of my, former professors, a professor of history, Dr. Rajan Saikya, he helped me a lot. He gave me a few books. In fact, he gave me one book which had even dialogues during those days. Yeah, it was beautifully documented. Just that the dialogues were in Assamese, and it was pure Assamese. So it took me some time to, translate. So that book helped me a lot. And moreover, political history is beautifully documented in Assam perspective. The Ahoms had, good practice of maintaining chronicles. So for every king, every king they maintained chronicles. But the main problem was there was no proper documentation of social history or the social, fabric or social those days backgrounds. So that gave me a bit of a challenge. But then there was one traveler who came with Mir Jumla. I hope if you have read till the half of the book, you'll know who is Mir Jumla. So with Mir Jumla, there was one traveler whose name was Shahibuddin Talish. So he chronicled about 4 or 5 pages of the social history of that time. So from that social history, I recreated the whole thing. So it was it was a bit of a challenge, but yeah, he has written it quite well. So it was easier for me to interpret in that way. So now, what was the biggest challenge which you faced during writing this book? And secondly, how was your publishing process? We both work for are represented by the same literary agency, the Book Bakers, and we are grateful for him, Sohail Mathur. But every publishing process is different. Can you tell me yours?
Mine was actually genuinely very smooth. Once I met Sohail, I think met a few times, and we had a discussion about the book. And it was that meeting, and after that, I didn't have to coordinate with him or check up on him or whatever. But he was continuously working on the book, and he was continuously updating me with the current status of everything. And one day he just comes up with this: "Bro, you have got I think 3 publishers interested in you, and according to you should go with Locksley Hall. I think this is the best platform we can get." So I said, okay, I have fully trust. Let's go ahead with that. Once that was done, so I think iske baad very smooth journey. I think I have had no complaints to do. So it's been perfectly smooth, and apart from that, they have been very understanding with me, especially during the design of the book cover. Because I have a designer of my own, getting things from designer to the publishing house and publishing house to the I was being the mediator. But Locksley did a very good job, and they were very understanding. I think they had laid out the ground rules, and they were very flexible about it. If I wanted to make some changes in that or this, in the title also, choosing the title, so they were very flexible about it. And apart from that, Suhail also helped a lot. He aided in the whole process, just to expedite the whole process, and ensuring at the same time that whatever is done, whatever is made or written or decided, is the best of quality. So that was the case. So I think, what was your experience with
well, I was working on another book with Sohail. Just a few days back, I completed that manuscript and submitted. It's a murder mystery, a true crime story. So I was working on that. Then, as I said, I got that, that I saw that board and I had that feeling that I have to document it. And I called Sohail Bhai and said, Bhai, I've got this book, what to do? He said, okay, give me a chapter-wise synopsis, let me take it forward. So it took me some time to research and, make it in a story form. And then I wrote the chapter-wise synopsis and submitted it to him. So about a week or 2 later, he called me and he said, Bhai, thank you, bol. I was like, "Kyun?" No, you tell me thank you. I said, thank you. He said, tell me one more time. Okay, thank you. No, another time. Last time. I said, okay, thank you. Then he said, I got your movie deal. I was like, wow, movie deal. Yeah. So it was acquired by Almighty Motion Picture, the same people who have made movies like Tanu Vets Manu, then Gangs of Wasseypur. So I was very happy. Wow, the first book, and it's got a movie deal. And he said, I'll get you a publishing deal also, don't worry. So about a week later, he called me and he said, Bhai, these 3 publishers are there. Which do you want? And the producer wanted the book fast. So the fastest, the publisher which would be able to give us the fastest was Locksley Hall. So we said, okay, let's go with Locksley Hall. And then it was a very smooth ride. It was a commission project, so they gave me around 3 months to complete the book. But we being working people, we tend to extend deadlines. I took 1 extra month to complete it, so 4 months. After 4 months, I submitted the manuscript. And after that, the cover design, we changed the cover 3 times, and this is the final one. And after that, even the producer, Sunil Bohra sir, he was very interested in the book. He took special interest in the cover. Before we had the painted cover, then he said, no, let me get you a designer on board, we'll design the cover. So he took special interest in the cover. And obviously, Locksley Hall, as you know, you've worked with them, very smooth people. And in fact, the editing process also, they helped me a lot. They edited it twice, just to make sure there are no, errors. And till now, nobody have pointed out any errors in the book. So that's one of the good things about the book. It was a fun journey. And after that, in fact, post-publishing also, it was very good, because Locksley Hall and TBB, they have helped me a lot in the marketing the book. And I'm sure they have helped you as well. So it's a beautiful, very smooth process.
Okay. Achha, I wanted to ask you one thing. I mean, you just mentioned in your answer that how do you judge the authenticity of any piece of information you get for your research? How do you make sure that it is authentic?
Well, for me, if I can tell you only from the perspective of this book, because the other book which I'm writing, it's also a true crime story, but I've written it based on newspaper articles. So newspaper articles can be, one of the authentic sources. For this book, as I said, they have chronicled the history beautifully. They had chroniclers, Ahoms had chroniclers who used to chronicle the history. And that those chronicles were called Buranjis. Okay, in Assamese, they were called Buranjis. These Buranjis were handed over from generation to generation. And in fact, even today, the Buranjis have been preserved very well. So there was one scholar during pre-independence era named Surya Kumar Bunya. He has written around 20-25 books on Ahom history, and he has written every character separately. He has also written a book on Lachit Borphukan. So those books have given me the authentic information which I believe. I have not relied much on the internet except for one or two, basic ideas, and that's it. That was the best part of this book. Was I've relied mainly on the information available in the book.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Of course, because my topic was a little different about pro-Indians and all. So I came across some topics about this pre-British India, and there were two pro-Indian, two anti-British. I wanted to understand that, I want to make sure that what I'm writing, whatever I'm imagining, visualizing, has to be, on the ground. So I want to take British point of view as well. That's why the book can help me a lot, because that gave me from a situation or of any event from both the perspectives. So judging from both the perspectives, what you conclude is, I think, is authentic enough.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Perfect. So what we understand is that basically we both relied on textbooks or books. Very little.
Yeah, very little. I think in today's education, where there's a lot of information through books as on the internet, we have to take a call what's authentic and what is genuine. I think in order to research, and it is a responsible deed to make sure whatever we are writing, it has to be authentic.
Exactly. True. So tell me about your writing routine. So how do you write?
I don't have any specific writing routine. In fact, the major part of this book which I've written is basically I used to do that when I used to be traveling local trains to my to office, because it used to be a 2 hours or 1.5 hour journey, and one would be. So I used to just my phone, start Word and start typing. Okay, I got this idea. Okay, this. Okay, I had this, I had that idea. I used to be jotting down points or writing the sequences, some sequences which I had. So majority of that during local train journeys, because I was doing a job. Sometimes if I had writing work also with me, so there were 2-3 jobs I was juggling at the same. So I had to make the most of whatever you got. So I never.
It's commendable, you're traveling on a local train. There's so many chaos around you, and you wrote a book inside a train. It's commendable. I won't be able to do it.
No, and I think everyone can. You have to that chaos and noise. Now you have to make it that like a white noise. It sounds like you are able to concentrate even more.
I'll have to try it then.
Yeah.
Well, for me, there is no specific writing routine. I chase deadlines, frankly speaking. Whenever there is a deadline, I'll sit from morning to evening, and sometimes even night. And whenever there is no deadline, after dinner, probably 1 or 2 hours, I'll write about 1,000-1,500 words. That's the maximum I write every day. But if there are deadlines, there were times when I had written 6,000, 7,000 words a day also. But that depends.
That exhausts your brain, I think. I mean, I can't write that. Having a routine, but I can't write. There's a limit of 1 or 2 hours. More than that, my brain is just fried.
Yeah. But when there is there's someone behind you that you have to complete the book. Danda leke khada rahega, you have to do it. That's what happened with me in my first book. I co-authored a book called 2035, a dystopian novel, and we were given 3 months to complete the book. My father was admitted for some minor surgery, and during that time I had to finish about 30,000 words and submit. I was sitting at around 22, and I had only 1 day to complete. So I was sitting in the hospital and writing then, and then I came to the hotel room. I wrote. So that day, I told you before, 6,000-7,000 words. That day I wrote around 6,000-7,000 words. That's the only day I wrote everything.
Yeah. Okay. So when do you feel most productive? Like, is it any specific place do you feel like the juices coming from your brain, or is it a particular time of the day? Like I've heard some writers like to write early morning, like 4 to 5. Some like to write late in the night. So what is your most productive time or place?
Frankly speaking, there is no particular time, but whenever an idea strikes. For example, you're traveling somewhere and you see an incident which you think there is a prospect to make it in a story format, or stretch it to a novel. At that point of time, I just, as you said, I note it down in just bits and pieces in a small form, and then I let it sit. And at a particular point of time, it will make me compelled to write it. So exactly. That's the time when I feel very productive. So probably I'll take out time. In fact, in the office too, I'll close the door of my cabin and I'll write. And that's the only time when I feel productive. But at times also you feel that छोड़ते हैं यार. Let's sit for 2-3 days and enjoy, relax. So this is the period which I'm doing right now. I'm enjoying. I'm not writing anything right now. So at times you need break also.
course. And, while I was writing my book, so there was a point where I came to a standstill. Basically, I was in a writer's block, you can say, and where I wasn't sure how I have to get from A to B. I was in a perfect writer, and the things, and wait a week or two, and I couldn't, whatever I was coming up with, it was bullshit. So I thought, okay, let's just take a break. And that break stretched to almost 6 months. For 6 months, I couldn't write anything. I couldn't think of a better idea. And one day, all of a sudden, I just got this idea. Okay, I can do this. I can operate the cell phone. Yeah, I can do that. उसके बाद फिर the juices again start. And उसके बाद once I started this, उसके बाद सीधे I come. Never know.
Yeah, it happens. I can totally understand that. So tell me, what are your favorite genres? Which genre you like the most?
I'm actually not a leisure reader. Actually, I don't read for leisure. I read for research. So yeah, basically I'm constantly writing either scripts or screenplays. So I'm constantly researching for something. So I'm, when I'm researching for something, I can read anything. So that's thing with me. But when I'm not reading, when I have to write, just read for leisure, I'm idle. So I prefer to go for occult. I write